Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Israel Wake Up. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, the 3rd of October, 2024. I'll be reading out of the book of Ezekiel, chapters 33 and 34. We'll read that and break it down. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel to Israel Wake Up. Check out our videos. We have some videos on there that lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures, and they will connect dots for you. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This is a sister channel to Prophets of Awakening, if you didn't know. So this is also a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Connectng and the Torah. Connectng being the Old Testament, and the Torah being the first 5 books of the Old Testament that were given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Okay, shalom and welcome to this channel. Welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence. We're going to read the Psalms. Okay, we're going to read the Psalms. We'll have the women's help. We do some current events, and then we have some need to know information. And then, as always, we'll have some Q&A dialogue, and then we'll go into our topic, which is we'll be reading out of the book of Ezekiel. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and Yahweh, our Creator, and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance. Oh Lord, we come this day, bow down and honoring, praising you, and blessing you. Okay, and we thank you for your wisdom and the knowledge that you have poured out upon us. And we see you now in the Holy Scriptures, oh Lord, and we trust you with all our heart and our soul. Keep not thy silence any longer, but shine forth on our enemies with thy great power and thy glory. Peace be unto you. Okay, so with that being said, we're got Psalms to read. Okay, you want to read the Psalms? Okay.
Sister Cheryl, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Okay. I'll read it. Okay, God. Read Psalm 63. It says, God satisfies the thirsting soul. The Psalm of David. O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary, because thy long loving kindness is better than life, and my lips shall praise thee. Thus will I bless thee while I live, and I will lift up my hands in thy name. Okay, my soul shall be satisfied. Says, my soul shall be satisfied as with a marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips. When I remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches, because thou hast been my help. Therefore, in the shadow of thy wings will I rejoice. My soul followeth hard after thee, and thy right hand upholdeth me. But those that seek my soul to destroy it, shall go into the lower parts of the earth. They shall fall by the sword. They shall be a portion for the foxes. But the king shall rejoice in God. Everyone that sweareth by him shall glory. But the mouth of him that speak lies shall be stopped. So that was Psalm 63. Okay, and there's 3 things in here I want to shine light on. The first one was, like I'm telling you, how that these Israelites back in the day when the temple was in existence, they was dealing with the Lord. He was there amongst them on the high holy days and all that. So it says right here in verse 2, David talking, right? To see thee, right? David talking to thee, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary. Don't get no plainer than that, right? As I seen thee in the sanctuary. Then we talked about why are they saying that he have wings if he don't have wings? So let's look at that. It says, uh, verse 4 says, thus will I bless thee while I live. I will lift up my hands in thy name. So we know what Michael means. He was like Yahweh, right? And then it says, uh, 6, I will remember thee upon my bed and meditate on thee in the night watches, because thou hast been my help. Therefore, in the shadow of thy wings, right, will I rejoice. So they're not saying wings for the GP. They're saying wings because God is over Israel, got wings. Okay. So with that being said, anybody else have any comments on that? Okay, so we go to our women's health moment.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on fatigue. Fatigue is a term used to describe an overall feeling or tiredness or lack of energy. It isn't the same as simply feeling drowsy or sleepy. When you're fatigued, you have no motivation or energy. So, what causes fatigue? Fatigue can be caused by lifestyle factors such as lack of physical activity, lack of sleep, being overweight or obese, periods of emotional stress, grief, taking certain medications such as antidepressants or sedatives, using alcohol on a regular basis, physical health conditions such as anemia, arthritis, infections such as colds and flu, um, autoimmune disorders, congestive heart failure, and mental health issues. Fatigue is a common symptom of many medical conditions that range from mild to serious. It is also a natural result of some lifestyle choices, such as a lack of exercise or poor diet. So, what are some lifestyle changes that can help reduce fatigue? Drink enough fluids, stay hydrated, practice healthy eating habits, eat less processed foods, exercise on a regular basis, get enough sleep, avoid known stressors, avoid a work or social schedule that is overly demanding, and take part in relaxing activity. These lifestyle changes may help ease your fatigue, but if left untreated, fatigue can take a toll on your physical and emotional well being. Tonight I will be reading from Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 29 through 31. God will hear if Israel repents. Verse 29. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord thy God, thou shalt find him. If thou seek him with all thine heart and with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are to come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord thy God, and shall be obedient unto his voice. Verse 31. For the Lord thy God is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. Tonight's discussion was on fatigue, and I read Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 29 through 31. God will hear if Israel repents. Shalom, everyone.
Okay, appreciate that information. So we go to some current events. Okay.
But you can't keep your money in the banks. Your money is not safe. Now, I want to discuss something that happened just yesterday. Yesterday, we saw 20,000 customers, possibly more, actually have their money pretty much seized. And it was just taken, it was gone, it vanished instantly by Bank of America. And many people reached out. I did a video on this just yesterday, and I talked about what would you do if this was you? And you were away on vacation and you swiped your your debit card and it didn't work? It was declined because you had no money. What if you use your credit card and again, it was declined because it said you had no money, a zero balance? Yeah, that is concerning. I had a lot of people comment, and I want to talk about this because what we are now facing is a huge, huge crisis. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So, what does this mean moving forward? We've seen in the past that Chase Bank, they had a glitch in their ATM machine where you could go and deposit a check of $5, $10, $20, $50,000. And in some cases, you can pull that money right out. Well, guess what? People were thinking they were scamming the banks. They were taking their money, but no, they are going to jail. Now, when the bank does it and the bank has a glitch, when the bank has an error and they take your money and show a zero balance, guess what? They're not going to jail. It was just an error. Now, where do we go from here? Well, here's the simple thing. And I've said this for a couple of years now. Actually, I've probably been saying it for longer than that. Do not keep your money in the banks, at least not all of it. Now, I personally have several different bank accounts, and I'll keep money in the bank accounts, and that's perfectly fine. But why? Why is it different? It's simple. If, let's say, Bank A struggles, goes out of business, or they have an error like what we saw yesterday with Bank of America, guess what? I'll go to Bank B. If Bank B has an error, I'll go to Bank A or Bank C. It's that simple. I'll use large banks. I'll use small regional banks. You can use credit unions. You can use online banks. Just don't keep your money in just one financial institution. Now, here's the question I got so much just yesterday. What do? What happens when there's more and more of these banks that are taking our money? They're not giving us our money. One person commented and asked, well, they went into their bank and asked, I think it was for like $1,000 or something like that. And the bank told them, no, sorry, we actually have a limit that you can only get $500. When you come in, you can only get $500 maximum, or you have to have an actual request, a cash request, and then we will process it and give you the money the next day. So this person needed $1,000, but all they got was $500. That was it. That was all the bank could give them. Now, what do we do in this case? You write a check, right? You get a cashier's check. Well, I've talked about this before too. Some banks, they're going above and beyond to take your money. I've heard people are getting charged like $15 for their bank to issue a cashier's check. For me, my bank, I think it's like $4, $5 to get a cashier's check. So what do? I just go in and ask for cash. They'll take the cash to the other bank. That's all I do, right? Simple. Hard part is, what if you're taking out $10, $20, $50,000? What do you do then? Well, this is the problem. And again, this is why you need to have several banks. Now, here's something I want to touch on. This issue that we faced yesterday, where Bank of America pretty much seized and just froze, 20,000 customers' accounts. Experts say this is going to happen again. They say this is going to be a continuous thing, that we're going to see this more and more. And it's not just because we have an election coming up. It's not because there's a war in the Middle East. It's not because of the port strike over on the East Coast. It's not because of the hurricane we just went through, right? It's not because of the fires that we went through in California. It's none of these things. But they are expecting that banks are going to struggle. Right now, when we've been hearing about this for over a year, that in the first quarter of 2025, we are going to see several banks go under because of this commercial real estate crisis that we are about to enter into. About $1.5 trillion of commercial real estate needs to be refinanced. However, interest rates are too high, and businesses don't want to refinance a building that they do not have workers inside of. As a result, they're trying to get people back to the office. Remember, Amazon just issued this mandate about 2 weeks ago, where they are mandating as of the 1st of January 2025, they want 100% of their employees back into the office 5 days per week. How do you think that's going to go? Well, we're going to find out soon enough. But here's the issue. If people do not go back into the office, then the businesses don't have a need for the office building. The office building is vacant, then that business, again, they're just going to let it go right back to the bank. And what do you think the bank's going to do with a big old office building? Nothing. It's just going to be a liability. They're going to try to liquidate that as fast as possible, which means they could actually lose billions and billions or even trillions of dollars. When this happens, banks are going to go under. When the banks go under, the people that have the money in the bank are going to be looking at FDIC insurance, which actually has a limit of $250,000 per account. Here's the issue. There's over $19 trillion in U.S. deposits in the United States. The problem is we have less than 1% of that. Less than 1% of that, because it's about $122 billion is all we have in FDIC insurance. That's the fund that we have. So if we see $19 trillion vanish, the federal government can insure us for about $122 billion.
Okay. Any comments on that? Any questions on that? Anybody got any questions or comments on that? Okay. Yeah, so the bank is not a good place to have your money right now. All you gotta do is look around and see everything that's happening with the BRICS and what's going on with the Israel and the hurricane that just happened. It's just not a good place. And the strike that's going on. I wouldn't advise anybody to keep their money in the bank. Okay.
Shalom.
Yeah.
I was having some difficult problems with my phone earlier. As he was saying not to keep the money in the banks, is that something when someone, or keep it in several banks? If you place it in several banks, aren't there it's the same, the money that you have in one bank, if they don't give it to you, you go to another one, you still have money in that particular bank. I don't think one bank will draft it from another bank that you have affiliated with two banks. How will they take the other money out? So you lost out on one of your accounts with your money being, and then far as the money itself, and the banks are closing, some are closing, so that money can one. At one point, they were saying buy and gold. Can one says, okay, I have $20,000 in the bank. Tell the bank I would like to turn that 20 into gold. Banks do have gold in their banks. So would that bank take and turn that 20,000 into $20,000 worth of gold? No. There's a lot of things that he was saying, but he haven't really went and broke it down for us. Again, the policy and the, like say, the loopholes that they have, the fine lines that they have for banks and credit unions. So there's a lot, I guess that's one of his opinions on it. That's just my opinion, that there's more to the banks by getting your money out and making sure you can get that money without having to say the glitches and still go on for that, because those people who could not receive their money, they at that point in time, they may not have been compensated about that, but the next day he says it's back online, so they probably still had their money in it. It's not that it was wiped out, probably rebalanced it money back into that account, and they still have their 20,000 or whatever amount in there. He didn't go further on the results of that bank having a glitch. That's all I have to say.
Okay, that's something to consider. That's something to think about. Yeah. You can, yeah, like I said, I think the bank really don't have a choice. You want to turn your cash into gold. I mean, we don't have no choice, But if they don't have the gold, I can see that. But if they had a gold, they really don't have a choice. Okay.
These strikers that are on the East Coast, and how this could impact consumer goods going into an election. I think a lot of these groups, I wonder, Will, are they doing this because they're so mad at Democrats? Not so much Republicans, but Democrats who are not willing to go to the table for them to get the price increases they want. But tell people who they're about to hear from.
So this is from the president of the International Longshoremen's Association, Harold Daggett. And he has been very vocal. You've seen him probably all over the news, as this strike started at midnight last night with strikes from ports going all the way from Boston in the Northeast all the way down to Houston around the Gulf Coast. And let's play what he's having to say, because I know it's getting some attention today, but it's probably not getting enough attention because the implications it has on every single person watching this broadcast or listening to this broadcast. But let's go ahead and play bite 2 about how he says this strike will play out.
These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the companies money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
Okay, I want to go right to Harry Hutchinson. Harry Hutchinson, he is saying he will cripple America. This is a union leader that thinks the best thing possible is to actually cripple the American people who rely on these goods that flow in from overseas so that they can feed their families. Are we going to see another baby formula shortage? All those lists that we've gone through before. I mean, that is pretty nasty language. And is it targeted at Democrats? Is it targeted at Republicans?
Well, I think long run, it is targeted at Democrats. The implications of a strike are huge. The reverberations of this strike on the economy are absolutely huge. So 35,000 longshoremen can cause the loss of millions of jobs in the United States in the short run. From Maine to Texas, every port will be locked down as a result of this longshoremen's strike. Within a week or so, we should see prices rise briskly on everything from medical equipment to food, to clothing, to construction equipment, including steel, lumber, and heavy machinery. And we should see automobile prices rise. Unemployment for construction workers, we should see rising. And so at the end of the day, this will impose a cost on the American consumer, the economy writ large, possibly the stock market. And we have already seen a slowdown in housing sales, despite the fact that the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates substantially. So mortgage rates have come down, yet people are unwilling to purchase houses in many markets, including many of the fastest growing markets. So I think at the end of the day, we should realize that 3/4 of the container ships in America go through the ports on the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. And I think at the end of the day, we should also keep in mind that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are without real weapons, because if they invoke the Taft-Hartley law, guess what? The workers are not prepared to work. They're going to go back to the ports, but they are not going to unload with alacrity. So I think at the end of the day, this is a huge blow to the economy, and it may be a huge blow to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Keep in mind as well, this takes place against a really bad environment. If you look at what's happened to Georgia and North Carolina, two swing states that have been hit really hard by Hurricane Helene, guess what? They need supplies. They need them desperately. And the Biden administration has said, we are unprepared to provide more funding.
You talk about the supply chain issues, how a single union is basically able to cripple the United States. Doesn't that also play in to the entire platform of Donald Trump to be less reliant on foreign goods and services here in America?
Absolutely. And so one of the things that we should reconsider is our dependence on foreign suppliers. And we should also reconsider two things: the income tax and tariffs on imported goods. At the end of the day, we should reduce the income tax in the United States, and we should raise the price or the tariffs on foreign goods. I think in the long run, that would stabilize employment in the United States and reduce our dependence on foreign suppliers.
Harry, I want to say this. How quick could we start feeling this in the stores? You know, if we're walking into the big box stores, how quick could this really impact people who are actually going to the stores?
We would start to feel the impact at least within 7 to 10 days. And guess what? You will see anticipatory price increases on items that are relatively scarce, and the demand for which is inelastic. So for instance, medical supplies, we should see a huge rise ultimately in the prices of those types of goods.
Okay, any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone. Oh my goodness, they said a lot in that, right? That I would love to address, but I want to try to keep it kind of short. Did you hear what he said when he first came out about crippling, right? And
Right.
with storm just hitting the East Coast, you know, with Georgia and North Carolina, and all of a sudden, you know, hear these threatening remarks that are being made. So again, here they're saying that how the prices are going to go up. There's going to be a shortage of this and that, right? The goods. Here are the holidays coming up. Election is coming up. And for some reason, I don't know, the Republicans just love to put blame on other people. I'm just going to say that. I don't know what that's about. But he's putting it all on the Democrats, to make it seem as though it's their fault that this is happening, right? So we're looking at the robots coming in. They're really going to bring them in now because, like I said, they're just working machines. So if they're going to be behind on these ports, they're going to use the people that's not going to call out, you know, that's going to work day in, day out, right? And who's going to do that? The robots. But we just have to stay alert, because he's actually putting fear out there. Oh, it's going to be a shortage of this, that. Oh, we got to watch this, and that. That's all that they talked about. So we got to pay attention to the East Coast. Just keep an eye on that East Coast. And I was watching another video on that today concerning a lot of things that they're doing on the East Coast. It's going to be busy over there.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. And then you said you heard the way that boss was talking.
Yeah, Daggett, the president, something else. I heard him in some more interviews, and he's something else.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Shalom. And as they were speaking about the Democrats, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is in fault. Um, they're leaving out the House of Representatives and the Senate because nothing goes through those two um, to have whatever they're going to vote on or whatever they're going to do. And that's another thing they're not looking at. Another thing, for as they were speaking, he said he's going to cripple them and shut them down and do those things. Maybe he has his whole home fixed up. He has food stored up because if he cripples them, he's crippling himself, crippling his workers, unless they have everything stocked up. They have no worry in the world. It works both ways. If he cripples uh, the ports, or them not getting their extra money, then it does the same for them because they still won't be getting paid. They still won't be receiving the goods that's off those ships coming into their homes also. So it's
Shalom. So the way that he was speaking, Sister Sure, I really don't even think he's worried about if they get paid or not. Because to me, it seems a whole other agenda. So throughout these states that he's talking about, there are both sides of the house. There are Democrats and there are Republicans in these states, right? So
Right,
yes. So for him just to point out Democrats is what really caught my attention. And then
right,
for him to mention supplies, lumber, all of that, when they're knowing the East Coast need these things are already stored up in warehouses on land. All of the supplies that is needed is not sitting out in the water. A lot of these supplies are already on land in trucks being delivered day in and day out. But he mentioned certain things that really caught my attention. And I like I said, I just think it's a whole nother agenda. We may not
right.
know the whole story, but it will eventually all come out bit by bit. We just have to pay attention to what's being said.
Okay, you got anything?
no. Okay, yes, I understand now. Yes.
Yeah. So it ain't hard to figure out what they're doing. The guy that the union boss and the other guy that was talking, they synchronized.
Mm-hmm.
They're against the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
You, that one guy, that union boss, the way he was talking, you can guarantee you he's a Trump supporter.
You can
Because
best
look at
believe
the
it.
time, look at the timing. Come on, and like I said before, this ain't nothing new. They did this with Obama and McCain. They bought a hurricane, and McCain was winning in the polls. And right around the same time, they brought a hurricane way up to D.C. and Philadelphia, which was unheard of, and McCain went to the dogs, and that's exactly what's happening to Kamala Harris now. They bringing all these calamities on them for a reason. All out of all the times that you could have done this, you're gonna do it now 1 month before the election. Come on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yes,
So
sir.
we can
I
see what
agree.
it's affecting the outcome of the election. That's
Right.
what's the purpose of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Brother Leonard, I was thinking about this also. I don't know if you guys have heard this, and Sister Cheryl, I know you're there in North Carolina, but they were saying that they were only giving those people $750, but you're sending billions to Israel and Ukraine and everywhere else. But here in America, here's this disaster that you all have caused, and you're giving them breadcrumbs. Like it never ceases to amaze me on the
Oh
things
yeah.
that they do.
Look what they're doing with the immigrants.
Don't
Ain't that
forget
something?
that. Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And then Biden already came out and said, which, like I said, that's probably what's gonna lose the election, but they don't have no money. Come on. It just had this big disaster over in North Carolina and that on the East Coast, and you said you don't have no money. FEMA don't have no money. Come on. It's crazy.
Shalom. Yes, and just like you said, yes, it's $700 and some odd dollars for food if you for your lights being off or losing that. And Georgia also had a problem too with lights and up the coast. And yes, he came out and said he didn't have any money, but if it would come again for Israel to need something or any Ukraine, trillions of dollars are going to be sent over there in no time flat.
Exactly.
And I just need maybe, I don't know, this explained to me, but wasn't the storm supposed to really hit Florida hard?
Well, it was supposed to hit the bottom part of Florida, but it ended up going up the same way the one before that. Remember, they had it on us. They had it
Right.
on us. And then next, so that's a learning thing right there, because when you first hear anything about a storm coming, and that's cone of certainty they give you, 9 times out of 10, that ain't the place it's gonna hit it.
Right. They're pro at that.
Right. But what's gonna happen is they're gonna make a truckload of money because everybody gonna go panic buying all this stuff, and the whole time it ain't gonna even hit them. It's all about them. It's all about them generating money.
Right. So Georgia and North Carolina was the hardest hit.
I think Florida was hardest hit.
Okay.
Parts of Florida was hit, then it went on up, but by the time it got to those other areas, it had weakened some, but it did a lot of damage.
Right.
But it really tore whatever part of Florida it went through, it tore it up.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So we got some need to know information right here. I don't know if anybody familiar with this, about this female trucker that came up missing or dead.
Even Patrice O'Neal said what I'm about to say. And if you don't know who Patrice O'Neal is, I'm gonna put the video in the description, and I want y'all to watch this. He said the same thing I'm about to say. If it was a white woman, I don't care if it was 6 years ago, they still will be trying to figure out this case. When it comes to a black woman, they don't care. A month, they just gonna let it go. They not even gonna try to look no more. So that's why I'm doing these videos when I say black female truck driver, black male truck driver. Yeah, I care about you other races of truck drivers. Like, I care. But unfortunately, on the real, I have to put my people first when it comes to these topics. Because they just don't care about our people when it comes to things like this. When our women get, unalive, especially when they're a truck driver, they don't care. It's just another number. And we're going to talk about who she was driving for at the end of the video. We're going to talk about that. You're going to be shocked. If you watched my video yesterday, my last video, if you watch that, you're going to be shocked at who she drove for. But I'm going to give y'all a word of advice to my female black truck drivers. If you don't live, or you didn't went to school in New Orleans, don't have family there, or people you've been knowing for years, don't park your truck in New Orleans. Now, if you know somebody who knows a safe truck stop and you trust that person, cool. I understand that. But if you don't know anything and you're not from New Orleans, don't park your truck in New Orleans. In my opinion, park your truck. And look, I lived in New Orleans. I lived in Baton Rouge. I'm from Louisiana. If you go park your truck and you want to go to New Orleans, you go to Bourbon Street with some people, look, park your truck in West Baton Rouge. It's a spot called Nino's Truck Plaza. And right down the road is a spot called Cash's Travel Plaza. Safe place. You can leave your truck for a month. Nobody touching your truck. Nobody touching your truck. Nobody coming inside of your truck. It's a little drive, probably like 40 miles, 45 minutes, an hour drive, but it's worth it. Because you save, you can get your Uber back to New Orleans, get you a hotel if you want, or you can stay in Baton Rouge. They got hotels, they got boudins, they got seafood, they got po' boy, shrimp po' boys, cracklings, jambalaya, right on that road. I think it's Highway 415. Highway 415 in Port Allen, Louisiana. Do not park your truck in New Orleans. I love New Orleans, but it's grimy. You got people in New Orleans that's successful. They want more out of life. But you also got people in New Orleans that don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. They don't care about working. They don't care about traveling. They don't care about nothing but eating. That's it. And they lurking. And people from New Orleans, I ain't say a lot of people. You got your half of people, they never leave New Orleans. So they know every corner. They know every dugout. They know everything about New Orleans. So this young lady, she parked her truck at the Mardi Gras truck stop on Elysian Field. And if you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say. She went to Bourbon Street by herself. Caught an Uber by herself. So you know she was telling people, look, I got my truck parked here. I'm from Mississippi. I'm just here for the weekend and stuff like that. And I told you in another video, don't tell people where you park your truck at. Don't even tell them you're a truck driver. You can't tell people the truth when you out here trucking because some people trying to line you up. In New Orleans, Louisiana, period. If you're not from there, yeah, they gonna rock you to sleep with their kindness. The whole time they taking mental notes. The whole time in their head, they taking mental notes. Oh, she at the truck stop. And then the young sister went and she watched the game. She went and watched the NFL game in the little lounge. You don't do that in the trenches. Just comfortable. But she ain't know. Nobody ain't tell her. So that's why I'm making these videos so y'all can know. That's the trenches. Now, if your company has something to say, tell them you'll feel safe. And they say, don't move that truck. Look, that's not the company for you. Like I say, a lot of people think New Orleans is slow. They think it's country. Because they might be from a bigger city or they might just be, out of towners. It's the South. They think it's slow. New Orleans is not slow. Everybody watching you. Everybody watching you. They had a security guard. You think a security guard looking like this care about what goes on? He don't care. He don't make enough money to care. He don't make enough money. So whatever went on, he was in on it. Whatever security guard was there at the time, they was in on it. Because guess what? She paid for parking. And all truck drivers know when you pay for parking, especially at that truck stop, because I've been there before. If you don't pay every day or the days you save and they ride around and they don't see that receipt on your windshield, they gonna boot your truck up. She was in that truck for 3 days, unalive, and nobody came check on her truck. And you got security guard. So what you think that means? 3 days. They had to bust a window. They had to bust a window because they had flies flying around the truck. Imagine your mom. This is her mom. Imagine your mom getting that phone call or having to ride, because they're from Mississippi, so it's right down the road. They had to ride down and find you like that. That's why I make these videos, man. She was inside eating, and look, yeah, New Orleans got good food. They got the po' boy. They got all that at the truck stop. At the truck stop, the shrimp po' boy at the truck stop. So she in there eating the whole time. Somebody plotting on her. Do not go to Bourbon Street by yourself if you are a black female. And you're not from Louisiana. You're not from New Orleans. Do not go by yourself when you're driving these trucks. I know it's fun. You want to post it to social media. You want to have something to post. Don't do it. If you don't know nobody that you trust, do not do it. Don't do it. Because it's a dirty game in New Orleans. They don't care. Especially, look, if you're not from New Orleans and your life ends in New Orleans, they're not trying to solve that. They don't care. They don't care.
Okay. Anybody heard anything about that?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I did. You
Okay.
know,
What you got on that?
born and raised in Louisiana. But I love to visit New Orleans, but I tell people all the time I would never live there. Um, just like he said, if
By
you're
yourself
not
either.
from, sir,
Don't go by yourself either.
right, by yourself, don't seem like you're lost. You don't know where you're going because they are very friendly, but they're being friendly for a reason. And you will end up in some spots that you should not end up in. So before you go to Bourbon Street and all of that, you need to do your homework, do your research, know what's going on, where you want to go, where things are, and even be careful in a Lyft or Uber. So I'm just really surprised that she was just really hanging by herself like that, and especially as a woman. New Orleans is not safe. I don't care if you're black or white to be by yourself on Bourbon Street and to be hanging out anywhere um, by yourself. So, I go to Georgia a lot. I adore that. Before I get to New Orleans, my gas is going straight through New Orleans. I'm not stopping anywhere.
Mm,
The food is good. You go there to eat, but know what you want to eat, where you want to go. Don't ask nobody for directions to where this restaurant is at, blah, 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 because it just may not end up right.
exactly. And those gas stations. You ain't got to. You can get that same food in the gas station on the way on the road. They got they got gas stations normally with the same food you trying to go into New Orleans to get. They got enough gas station. Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay. I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything they heard during the week? Doing their studying, they want to shine a light on, we can talk about.
Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. I just want to do a little open dialogue. This week and a little bit of last week, I had a lot of time on my hands to, kind of watch a lot of videos and coming on my timeline a lot in YouTube, I guess, because I watch a lot of it, concerning us as Black women. And one thing that I have noticed is that there are a lot of Black women that are really being abusive to children, and that just breaks my heart. But anyway, you watch these videos of women and that may get with a single man that already has children, right? Or she has children and she feel as though that child has really became a burden on her, so she ends up killing the child, right? So
Mhm.
we have to really look at that. That is just total wickedness. And there's so much of it out there that is not being talked about. So we have to really be aware of what's going on. And um, you know, just to say this a little bit, a lot of the men that are looking for women in their lives are looking at beauty and booty,
Okay.
and they end up in bad situations because in the beginning she's going to seem like she's nice and she love your children and this and that, but then once she comes in and she sees that you have a close relationship with your children, right, she's going
Mhm.
to start doing some wicked things behind the scene. And
Okay.
I just really think that that is something that really needs to be put out more, because times are hard out here, and it's that should not be normalized whatsoever. These children are innocent children. They have no clue of what's going on, and they trust us as adults to protect them and to love them. And us as women, when you see a woman doing something like that, she is really wicked, because we were created to nurture. And to abuse children is one of the wickedest things that, you know, I can think of. I just really disapprove of that. And I just wanted to speak, a little bit about that. That was really heavy on my heart today after watching the second video. And I just like, I can't believe that there's so many women out there that's doing these things to children.
Okay. Yeah. I was reading something uh earlier today out of the book of Enoch that it just jumped off the page at me about how uh when in Genesis 6, when the angels came down and slept with the women, and we also know what happened in the garden. Lucifer came in the garden and he ended up in a intimate relationship with Eve. And that's how he got Cain. But those angels in Genesis chapter 6, Enoch goes into great detail on what happened. They only allude to it in the King James. So he was saying that the angel was talking to Enoch, and he was telling him that those giants, right, because of the way that they came about. They came about from the angels, sons of God, fallen angels. 200 of them came down and they started sleeping with women on the earth, and they had the giants, right? So that giant he's a mutant, or he's an abomination, and so when he died, that spirit that's in him didn't come from heaven. And so that spirit is bound on the earth. Spirit, only the creator, only Yahweh, creator can get rid of a spirit. The flesh and all the flesh is gonna die, but the spirit he gotta do away with it. So when those giants died, the spirit that's in them didn't come from heaven. It was born on the earth. That's the way that Enoch says in the book of Enoch. It was born on the earth. So it's bound to the earth until the judgment. And if you know anything about scripture, the judgment ain't came yet. So they still here. All those giants that we know about, that 1,000 giant war that I was reading about yesterday in the book of Lost Book of Og, all those giants in chapter 15 of Genesis, when they had that war, they turned them in against each other, they killed each other, and all the giants that died from the flood, those spirits that was in those giants still here. But guess what it says? You keep on reading that. I think it's around Enoch chapter between 12 and 14, and it says he explained it to Enoch, and he told him that those spirits that came from the giants, which is still here today, because they were born of, because they came about from an angel sleeping with a woman. Those spirits are going to attack women. They're going to attack women. They're going to afflict and attack and pressure women. That's something to think about. Yeah, I was like, wow. So yeah, so I was I really, I don't want to try to waste no time trying to when I find it, then I'm gonna bring it back up. I'll probably bring it up for our morning Shabbat class. But it said that he's gonna afflict women. They're gonna and torment them until the judgment comes. So you gotta think about that. And that's what I always been saying ever since I had a line. I was always aware of that, and I prayed about it. I asked the Creator, what is it? It's something that these people, when you know who they are, it's something they leaving out. They're not telling us about, what's going on with the woman. But anyway, so like I was saying, he said that they're gonna specifically attack and afflict the woman, but it's even go deeper than that. If you go to the 7 nations, the giants, it was 7 nations of giants in the book of in chapter 15 of Genesis, when when Abraham circumcised Isaac, he also circumcised a bunch of giants, because he gave him, when he got circumcised, he received the whole land of Canaan and the giants that was on that land. They became subject to Enoch. So Enoch, they wicked as hell when you understand who they are, but Enoch calls them, a bunch of them submitted to Abraham. I mean, they submitted to Abraham and got circumcised. So that's what brought about the war. The 100 million man, 100,000 war. When the giants were fighting, it was uncircumcised giants fighting against circumcised giants. The uncircumcised giant hated the circumcised giant because they had got circumcised. And so anyway, when those giants died, because of they connected to the woman at the hill. And so you say, what are you talking about? Go back to Adam and Eve. Like I said, when you understand who these people is and what they did out of scripture. So let's go back and look at it based on what I just said. Let's go ahead.
I was saying, come on, Brother Leonard, because I was struggling with this today to really get a good understanding of, what is going on when it comes to the wickedness, of a lot of us Black women, right?
Exactly.
And
Adam, the daughters of Adam. That's
okay.
what that is, and they're attacking them. So it says right here, let me get it. And they didn't made it out to be something else for their gain, but it got us in the dark. So it says, here you go. This is curse. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, he slept with Eve, right? He got Cain, she pregnant with Cain. Thou art cursed above all cattle, above every beast of the field, and upon thy belly shalt thou go, and thus shalt thou eat all days. Like, here you go right here. And I will put enmity between thee, it's a fallen angel, and the woman. See that? And between thy seed and her seed. So there it is right there. But they gave us a whole nother rendition of it. So he pitting these fallen angels and what they created when they slept with these women, that they connected at the hill. See, Adam ain't in there. See that? He says, I will put enmity. That's conflict. I'll put enmity between thee and the woman. So when it was magnified, it was only with the serpent and Eve right here, but we know in Genesis 6, those other ones came down, so it's magnified. So when those giants died, that spirit is attacking the women. Let me find that. Well, somebody got something you want to say while I'm looking for that? Let me find it in the book of Enoch.
I'm gonna just give all praises to the Lord of hosts right now, because I had a hard time today. That just really, like I said, had me looking at things, and I just went to the book of Sirach and start reading out of the book of Sirach, right? And I always go to chapter 25 and 26, which says a lot about us, as women, and how we should conduct ourselves, right? So just stop me whenever you're ready, Brother Leonard. But chapter 25, Sirach, verse 16 says, I would rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than keep house with a wicked woman. 17, the wickedness of a woman changes her looks, right? And darkens her countenance as a bear does. So the first thing I thought about is that, we have a lot of women that just cakes this makeup on their face, right? To change their looks, right? But once you get them home and they cleanse their face or do whatever they do, you really truly see who they are. And to me, their eyes is always going to speak to you.
Right. It talks about that. I think it's in the Wisdom of Solomon. He said the eyes of a woman. The Roman eyes of a woman. He talked about that in several of those verses in the song, Wisdom of Solomon. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna start reading at verse 9. You should know about this when the 200 angels came down. They taught the women because they're dealing
Where
with
you at,
women.
Brother Leonard?
I'm gonna start at verse 9, but I'm just
What
setting it
book
up.
you in? Where you at, sir?
Enoch, Book of Enoch,
Okay, sir.
chapter 9. So it says in verse chapter 7 that the 200 came down. They sought wives, so they women. So what they knew in heaven is what they teaching these women. They're not dealing with the men, they're dealing with these women. So we're gonna pick it up in chapter 9. It says, and Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all the lawlessness between being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitants cries, and the voice of their crying crieth up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, so that we know the holy ones are 7 angels. The souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, God of the ages, the thrones of thy glory standeth unto all the generations of the ages, and thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto all ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things. Thou and all things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel hath done, who have taught all the unrighteousness on the earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were kept in heaven, which men were striving to learn. So we see that they taught these to the women. That's what they came to. They teach them to, not to the men, they taught to the women. 7. And Sanjias, whom thou have given authority to bear rule over his associates, they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them, see that? To the women, they revealed to them all kinds of sin, right? Then 8, and the women have borne giants. And so there go their connection right here. It says, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which were wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass, and thou seest these things, and thou didst suffer them, and thou doest not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. So these are 7 angels talking to Yahweh, saying, you know everything, but you ain't told us nothing. So for us to do something. Chapter 10, then said the Most High, the Holy One, and the Great One spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, go to Noah and tell him, in my name hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel, hand and foot, cast them into darkness, make an opening in the desert, which is in Judea, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day, here you go, on the day of the great judgment, this ain't happened yet, he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth, which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plagues, and that the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin, And to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards. Here you go. Proceed against the bastards and the reprobates and against the children of fornication and destroy the children of fornication. So these giants, they came about because of fornication, right? So fornication and the children of the watchers are from among men, cause them to go forth, send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. We saw that in Genesis chapter 15. That's the 100-man war, 100,000 man giant war. For length of days shall they not have, and no request that their fathers make of them shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf, for they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said unto Michael, go, bind Zaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 40 generations in the valleys of the earth, until the day of their judgment and their consummation, until the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall lead off to the abyss of fire, be led off to the abyss of fire, and to torment, and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them in the ends of all generations, and destroy all the spirit. Here you go, right here. Destroy all the spirits of the reprobates and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all the evil from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness of the truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing, and the works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forevermore. And then shall all the righteous escape, and shall live until they begot thousands of children. Okay, let me see if I went too far. Okay. Okay, yeah, I don't think I've got that. I'm gonna start at 12. And behold, these things Enoch was hidden. Before these things Enoch was hidden. So this is where they got JC from. Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he abode, and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his eyes were with and his days were with the holy ones. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty, King of ages, and lo, the watchers called me. So it's the 200. Called me and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the heavens, who have left the higher heavens and the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of the earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. Ye have wrought great destruction on the earth, and ye shall have no peace, nor forgiveness of sin. And insomuch as they have delighted themselves in their children, the murder and their beloved ones shall they see. The murder of their beloved ones shall they see. And over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplications unto eternity. For mercy and peace shall ye not obtain. And Enoch went and said to Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee, to put thee in bounds. And thou shalt not have toleration. Thou shalt not have toleration, nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness which thou hast taught, and because of all the works of godliness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast shown man, right? Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me, and they drew up a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For from thenceforward they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sin for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regards to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regards to their requests that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and I sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon, and I read there the petition until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and a vision fell down upon me, and I saw a vision of chastisement. And a voice came bidding me to tell it to the sons of heaven and rebuke them. And when I awakened, I came unto them, and they were all sitting, gathered together, weeping in Abijah, which is between Lebanon and Census, which their faces are covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which they had seen in sleep. I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to rebuke the heavenly watchers. The book of the words of the righteousness and of rebuke and of eternal watchers in accordance with the commands of the Holy Great One in that vision. And I saw in my sleep what I would now say with the tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to me to converse therewith and to understand with my heart. And as he had created and given unto man the power to understand the words of wisdom, so have he created me also and given me the power of recommending the watchers, the children of heaven. And I wrote out the petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you. And from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven until all eternity, and in bounds of the earth the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And that previously you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and ye shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you and by the sword, and your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words condemned in the writings which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus: behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and the mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightning sped and chasing me, and the winds of heaven of the vision caused me to fly, and they lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. And I went in unto the draw nigh to a wall which is built of crystal. 15. I started 15. It says, and he answered and said unto me, and I heard his voice, fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness, approach hither and hear my voice, and go and say to the watchers, and go and say to the watchers of heaven, who have seen thee, who have sent thee to intercede for them. You should intercede for man, not man for you. Wherefore, have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourself with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of the earth, and begotten giants as your sons. And though ye were holy, spiritually living eternal life, you have defiled yourself with the blood of women. See that? With the blood of women. So that's a woman. You got a man. You got, you see a man, but he got blood in him, right? You see a woman, she got blood in him. So that's what he's talking about. The whole woman, you're looking at her, and you didn't defile yourself with that. So he says, you have defiled yourself with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. See that? And as children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also do, and die and perish. So right here, this is where you get the children of fornication. They lusted after women, and they got the giants of the children of fornication, because they don't supposed to be with them. Then 5, Therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them and begot children by them, that thus nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living eternal life and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as for you, for the spiritual ones of heaven, uh, in heaven is their dwelling place. And now the giants who are produced from the spirit, here you go. And now the giants who are produced from the spirit of flesh shall be called evil spirits, right? It's after they lose their body. Shall be called evil spirits upon the earth. And on the earth shall they dwell. They came to sin. They came to sin. 8. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men and from the holy watchers, is their beginnings and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on the earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. And as for the spirit of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling place. But as for the spirits that on the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall their dwelling place. And the spirits of these giants, here you go. And the spirit of these giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble, and they shall take no food. This is the other part I ain't talked about yet. Say, and, right? And they shall take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. Now here you go. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against women, because they have proceeded from women. See that? There it is. And that's where the drama is. And then 16, I'll read a little bit of this. From the days of this slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, and from the souls of whose flesh the spirits, having gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall they destroy until the day of judgment. So that's where the drama's at. They bound. They weren't dealing with no man. When they came down, it was because they came down for the women. So they connected at the hip. Same with Eve. That's why he said it'd be enmity between you and the serpent. And then right here, the same thing with these giants right here, these 200 angels that came down. They had those giants, and that giant died. The spirit is afflicting, destroying, oppressing, and harassing the woman. Okay. Any comments on that?
OMG, yes. And Brother Leonard, in chapter 16, verse 4,
Right.
you have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones, and these in the hardness, right, of your hearts, you have made known to the women, and through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on earth.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
That's what drama is. So they particularly, we see from the beginning they attacked Adam's, the daughter of Adam, in Genesis 6. So that's where they constantly attacking. And then the children, after they was born, they attacking the woman. The spirit is in those giants. But this is my point, what I was trying to get to say. I read yesterday I was in the book of Og. I didn't find what I was looking for, but I read something else, but it was a reason I read it now, I know. So Og was talking, and he was describing the giants, the uncircumcised ones that was on his side, how they had went to battle, but that Rephaim. Let's look. I'm gonna show you who the Rephaim is. Right. So it says right here in Genesis. I just went there. 15. If you go to Genesis 15, you're gonna see him right here. I mean Genesis 15, verse 19. These are 7 nations: the Kenites, the Kezites, the Kodites, the Hittites, and the Perserites and the Rephaim. See that? So these Rephaim is disembodied spirits. They disinspired, and they still, you know, like you, if you standing outside and you see somebody walking on the road, you see somebody coming. Same way with them. They appear as if they human like us, but they disembodied spirits. And then and they coming from those, I told you about those, they the ones with the long necks. That's the reason why you see Akhenaten, a lot of those pharaohs that was in Egypt had the long neck, because that's where their DNA, it's telling you where their DNA is. They had the long necks. Okay, so anyway, Ark said that the dark ones, when they was in battle, the dark ones would leap across the line while they in battle, go into one of the circumcised giants, and cause that circumcised giant to start fighting with them and start killing his own men. So that Rephaim, that's what we talk about. So look, so what I just read you, they're gonna afflict, attack. See what I'm saying? So it's that Rephaim. But that's another conversation for another day. It blew my mind last night when I was reading it, why I had read that, and then come this morning and boom, I run across this. Right. So they did these Rephaim. That's why they got that. I don't know if anybody on here ever heard of it, that Babylonian kings list. Well, they got a kings list of these kings that ruled, and they got them. Some of them ruled for 2,300 years and all that. So it's called a Babylonian. I think it's the Babylonian kings list. Anyway, that's who that is. And so, like I said, that's when you understand about the Egyptian, the whole Egyptian system is about going to in the earth, the afterlife. That's what the whole Egyptian system is about, the afterlife, when they die. And then when you watch all the movies and you do all your research on that, those gods that was in Egypt, they had the ability, they show you on the movies, they had the ability to go down into the underworld and back up. So when you go and do research on that word Rephaim, it's they disembodied spirits. And then he just told you they can't consume food, but they still afflict, and they torture you and afflict you. And then on top of that, one of their number one things was they was healers. Like what JC was doing. They was healers.
They were what? Say that again.
Heal. They can heal people.
Oh, they're healers. Okay.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Okay. So like I said, it's all what they hear from us. But so then you go to the Ptolemy. It was like 16 Ptolemies. Soter. That word soter is a healer. So you got all those kings that went to Egypt, those Edomites that was in Egypt from Ptolemy was saviors, healers, saviors. Yeah. So what they saying is, like I said, I told you how they tricked all these words off and got you thinking that word means one thing, but the word means something totally different in today's society. Like a prime example is virgin. Well, a virgin meant in Israel ain't what, when we see the word virgin today, it don't mean what we think it mean today. It was a virgin was a woman that was of marital age, or she could already been had kids. It wasn't like they talk about now when you say a virgin, a woman or a virgin. Yeah, that's all totally different. That's just like they didn't hear the meaning to that word Rephaim. That'll be something to go and do your research on. Yeah.
That's deep. I mean, it's just, it explains a lot to me.
Right.
And like you said, we have tricked things off and we're using different words. So just for example, I'm thinking about, we say, oh, she crazy. She crazy.
Right.
No,
Exactly.
evil spirits. She full of evil spirits. Call it for what it is.
Right. And ain't that what Daniel told you, tell us, in Daniel, book of Daniel, he said that the angel entered into him, right? So, so these Rephraim, they got that characteristic from their father. So anyway, then you see that Balaam, when Balaam was trying to get him to prophesy, curse Israel, he said that the Lord kept entering into him and making him speak blessings on Israel. So when our talking, he said these Rephraim, these dark spirits would go into one of those giants and make that giant start fighting with them. And so you know what, a giant, he capable of killing 600, 700, 800 people at one time. So if you enter into him now, he's fighting for you. Look how many people he's killing. Okay.
Shalom. So because of the spirits of the fall, the giants that are no longer here in physical form, those they could not, the spirits that could not ascend, they have they're stayed on this earth here. So that's how we know about the evil spirits that would afflict people.
Yeah, that is the spirit. It wasn't no evil spirits before the giants. Before the giants came, when the giants started dying, that's the evil spirits that's on the earth. When you start talking about people seeing apparitions and all that, that's those evil spirits. They bound here until the judgment comes. Only the Creator can kill them. The body dies just like with us. The flesh died, and because of who we are, our spirit of sin, because it came from heaven. But that spirit how the giants came into existence was a fornication, a lustful spirit for women on the earth. That's how he was born on the earth. So when that giant dies in the flesh, it goes to the ground, back to the ground, to the dust. That spirit is bound here on earth. And that's what's causing all the drama on earth. And they have a specific object that they concentrate on: women.
Shalom. So if a person of a female woman trying to do right, they would enter into that that woman and can cause chaos and
Right. In the household or wherever. But the thing is, the trick to it is that you know to know. See, you got to imagine, like I said, walking in the woods and it's a panther in the woods. He's stalking you and following you. You don't know he's there. But the minute you find out he's there, you're gonna start moving and doing and operating a different type of way. So what these people have done to us, we don't understand. We don't know that. We didn't know that. So now you know that that's out there. So like I was saying before, if you sitting at your house and then some come to your mind to go down to the bank and rob the bank, that ain't you. That's something outside of you that's coercing you, that's bringing it to your mind. That's talking about. Coercing you, making suggestions to you to lead you in a certain direction. That's what serpent did in the garden, ain't he? Didn't he come and coerce Eve?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
yes.
that is. That's what it is. We thinking that they've been told, they gave us all this garbage about the id and all that in the brain. No, that's a wicked spirit outside of you, coercing you, making suggestions to you, tempting you. And when you understand what it is, you rebuke it. Like the Most High said about David and Solomon and all of them, they excused evil. I mean, they shunned it. And the Most High told, the Lord of Hosts told Cain, if you're gonna do right, do right. If you don't do right, evil is at the door. That's what he's talking about. Okay. So, like I said before, it's a different ball game when
Shalom.
you understand when you understand what you're up against. But Who knows that? Who knew that? We never, that's not explained the way that that it should be explained. Okay?
Exactly.
Right. So the time you come here, and then especially now, that was the temple, the nation of Israel, the land that he gave us. Those were safety nets for us. We like fish out of the water now. Yeah. So I read that. Another example of that was I read last night was what David said when he passed. Once he left his body, that the Creator gave him. Once he left the body, there he was. And they tried to take him to hell. And he said he cried to heaven, to the Lord of hosts, and they came and got him and draw him out of many waters. So that was those wicked ass spirits. When he died, they waiting on him. When he died, they tried to take him down to the hell, to the pit. But he cried to the Lord. Okay. So everybody good on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna play this here. Then I'll just close out. This is an ongoing conversation we always having, so but I'll play it. Okay.
All right, shooting Nubia's.
Okay.
Let's dive right in. Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. Two creation stories, right there, side by side, in the Bible. And you've probably read them, but here's what's wild, they don't exactly tell the same story. Now, before you say, wait, isn't this all part of one big seamless narrative? Hold on, let's look closer. In Genesis 1, we have this cosmic, orderly account of creation. It's structured, it's methodical. 6 days, one after the other. First, light is created, light before the sun, by the way, which is weird, right? Then the separation of waters, dry land, plants, animals, and finally, on day 6, humanity. Male and female. Done. It's a God who stands above everything, speaks things into existence, and sees that it's all good. A powerful, transcendent being, creating from a distance. But then Genesis 2 comes along, and it's like you're suddenly in a different movie. It starts with a barren earth, no plants, no rain, and no people. God steps down from the heavens, gets his hands dirty, literally forms Adam from the dust, and breathes life into him. The God in Genesis 2 is more intimate, hands-on. And what happens next? God plants a garden, then creates animals, and later, after realizing Adam's alone, makes Eve from his rib. The whole sequence feels so different. It's personal, almost experimental. And unlike the distant, all-powerful God of Genesis 1, this God is involved, responsive, like he's figuring things out as he goes. So, why the difference? The stories seem to be two different portrayals of God, creation, and humanity. In Genesis 1, man and woman are created together, in God's image. Equal. But in Genesis 2, Adam is made first, and Eve comes later, almost like an afterthought. That's a pretty big shift in tone, right? Scholars have been debating this for centuries. These aren't just two versions of the same story. These are two distinct stories that somehow got mashed together in one book.
Exactly.
Genesis 1 comes from a different tradition than Genesis 2, likely written by different groups, in different times, for different reasons. Well, it forces us to question the idea that the Bible is a seamless, flawless narrative. If you've been taught that the Bible is one consistent story from start to finish, these two creation accounts throw a wrench in that idea. They suggest something much more complex. Something that doesn't quite fit into the neat little package we've been sold for centuries. These stories weren't just dropped out of heaven.
They were written by people with different perspectives, different agendas. And for some reason.
So right there is a prime example what was said in the scriptures. He said that Israel, right? The men of Israel in particular they didn't want to receive the oracles of God. To all the other nations, it wasn't giving them understanding. See, look at the conclusion he came to. He came to, we already broke this down 1,000 times. His conclusion is that it's two different people that's concocted two different stories from a chronicle perspective. They can't see the way the creator talking about. And so you imagine these people we've been oppressed by them for 2,500 years. You know, can you imagine all the misguidance that they gave us up until this point? Yet still we sit and wait, thinking that what comes out of their mouth is pure and righteous and true. He can't see that it's two different creations. He coming to the conclusion that two different people, two different groups of people concocted both of those stories. Okay? Any comments? So you want to watch that? Are there two creations accounts in Genesis, or Genesis 1 and Genesis 2? Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. You want to watch it, check it out. Any questions or comments before we go? Everybody good?
Shalom. It was pointed out to me when he was saying about the two. Just have one question. In verse 4 of Genesis chapter 2, it says, "These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when
Right.
they were created." Is that talking about the history of what chapter 1 is talking about, or not?
That's before Genesis. That's before he's talking about everything that happened during the time of the creation story. 6 days he created everything, and
Yes,
then on
sir.
the seventh day he rested.
Yes, sir. So that's just giving us the history of what happened in Genesis 1.
Right, during creation. Right, during creation.
And then the rest of it is all new, or telling you about the history.
Right, it says, when you read it, it says, we doing this every week. We keeping the Shabbat. We keep the Shabbat for that very reason right there. 6 days we work, and the 7th day we rest. So after that was over with, this is what so many people don't get. You know what I'm saying? It says in verse chapter 2, it says, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them, and on the 7th day. So everything in verse 1 already happened, the whole creation story. And on the 7th day, God ended his work, which he had created and made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work, which he had created and made. So he finished. Then 3, he blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because in it he had rested from all his work. So now that's over with. Now we going forward. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God, now it's the Lord God, right, made the earth and the heavens. Then 5, every plant of the field, go back to chapter 1, every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. So this man ain't made yet. But over here, he made the man on the 6th day. And he finished with that. He rested. And now it comes back this 8th day. And he comes and he makes this man right here. And then not only that, he tells you in chapter verse 8, chapter 2, verse 8. The Lord God planted a garden eastward of Eden. There he put the man whom he had formed. So that tells you it's more men somewhere else. This man is the one he formed. And we know that in Genesis 1:26, he created a man. So the man he formed, he put him in the garden. But there's already a man he created with a woman with him. Back in the creation story, the first 7 days.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, like I said, we have women's advanced Bible study twice a week. We have it on Thursday nights, 7 to 9 Central Time. And then we have it on Sundays, in the Sunday evenings from 5, normally about an hour or so, from 5 p.m. Central Time until we finish. Normally, like I said, it's about an hour. So I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I'll see everybody tomorrow for our men's advanced Bible study. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.